evening. You're watching Bloomberg Quint Live and I'm Alex Matthew. The equity markets rebounded today after a rout that lasted nearly 2 weeks. So what did you miss? Let's get straight to the headlines. State Bank of India is among the top losers on the Nifty after it reports its first loss in at least 17 years. Chairman Rajneesh Kumar says that he is confident that there won't be an NPA divergence for the current financial year. Foodpanda looks to keep pace with Zomato and Swiggy, plans to invest 400 crore rupees to scale up its delivery network. Indigo treads with caution after 3 Airbus A320neo aircraft are grounded due to faulty engines. The airline has now moved to replace the engines after Airbus says 30% of its Pratt & Whitney powered aircraft are defective. The Supreme Court orders against taking any coercive action against Major Aditya Kumar in the Shopian shooting case seeks a reply from the centre and the state to a petition filed by the officer's father. Let's now move to all the market action that took place today. Neeraj Shah is standing by to take us through all the action on Dalal Street today. The benchmarks at least have rebounded, Neeraj, ahead of the holiday.
Truncated week, but that failed to dampen the spirits of the bounce back bulls, if I can call them that, because we did very well in the session today. Maybe off the highs of the day, but still ending about 0.8% in the green. And the broader markets did very, very well. So mid caps and the small caps actually doing a lot better. The small cap index almost double the quantum gain of the headline numbers. So what did well and what didn't? Let's first look at what did really well. Results impact for Tata Steel, and the steel space in particular, SAIL and a couple of others also had a fairly good run. So that pocket has been doing rather well. I think private financiers participated in the session today. So everything from a Yes Bank to an IndusInd Bank, which is up about 3%, 2.5%, 3%, to heavyweights like the HDFC Twins, and even supported by Reliance Industries as well. So about a couple of percentage points for Reliance Industries. HDFC was up about a couple of percentage points. HDFC Bank not doing too badly. So private financials certainly supported the move in the session today. SBI had a slightly dampened move that dragged the Nifty PSU index down a little bit to end flat on a day when the Nifty Bank did well. I must say, Bank of Baroda more than made up for it, 8% higher in the session, and good volumes as well, both on the F&O side and the cash market side for BOB. So good going there for BOB as well. Some losers, and there were few really, and which is I'm starting with the losers first. Kitex down about 14% post numbers. Fortis Healthcare has been an eye of a storm and down in session today as well, about 6.5% lower. But look at the gainers. Ahead of results, J Kumar Infra about 14%. I think the tire stocks had a fabulous run too. So those will come up on your screen. Good going there. JK Tire and CR about 7.5%, 4% higher. And a clutch of other mid-size, small-size names, the likes of Aptech or a Precision Wires or some others did very well on a day when the index did well, but the broader markets performed marginally better.
Thanks so much for that, Neeraj. Let's move on to one of the top stories that we've been discussing today, and we're talking about the Singapore Stock Exchange having decided to drop its own products reflecting the Indian equity markets. This comes after the SEBI barred Indian exchanges from sharing their data with foreign exchanges. Sajith Mangat is here to tell us all about this. Sajith, this seems like a bid to bring volumes back to the Indian exchanges.
That's right. The move by all the three exchanges on Friday to bar sharing of data with overseas jurisdiction will ensure that by the end of 6 months, when the entire contract with SGX gets over, the hope is that that volumes will come back to the National Stock Exchange. Now, SGX on Sunday came out with a release saying that it is aware of the joint statement made by the 3 stock exchanges, and it is looking at coming out with new alternative products for the India basket. Currently, NSE has a licensing agreement with SGX with respect to offering of Nifty futures, and that agreement will get over by the August 2018. What we understand from the SGX release is that they are still working out the details of what kind of product they can bring out so that they can give continuity to some of its clients which are trading on the SGX platform with respect to the India exposure and India portfolio that they manage. This is something which is will be a developing thing, because over the next couple of days and weeks you will see SGX coming out with some alternative products so that it so that it's able to bridge this gap which has come out because of the NSE, BSE and MC Metropolitan Stock Exchange release. SGX itself has been hit today. The stock was down in the Singapore market because of this impact, and roughly nearly 4% of SGX revenues come from Nifty or India products, and so SGX is looking to come out with a product which is able to fulfill that entire India basket. Alex?
Thanks so much for that, Sajid. And we'll stick with that story and bring you more, of course, as and when we get developments therein. But, a comment coming in from the IRDAI Chairman, rather the SEBI Chairman, in fact, Ajay Tyagi, he said that the move is not retrograde. Listen in.
Number one, these are the exchanges who have taken this decision, and they've come out with this joint communique in terms of, I think, in terms of the business interest. And what they are saying, as I read it, is that they want that liquidity on those indices in India should not be actually split, and it doesn't shift abroad. So these are commercial decisions which they are taking. I don't think so it is retrograde. But they are trying to ensure that liquidity in those indices stay in the country. So I don't really say it is retrograde.
And IRDAI Chairman T.S. Vijayan says private equity players are likely to invest in the insurance space. In a conversation with Bloomberg Quint's Ridhima Saxena, Vijayan said that the prospect of a national healthcare scheme is very exciting. However, the implementation will be crucial. Listen in.
I think it will happen. It will happen because one thing about a private equity is they are putting money and after some time they take out. This is the nature of it. They must be looking for opportunities on it. I'm sure somebody will be coming up fast.
Sure, sir. Also, one other thing that there has been a lot of talk about is the National Health Protection Scheme. So,
yes, which Finance Minister announced.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, after Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, this would be the second biggest scheme at such a large scale that will or may see implementation going forward. So, how has been the experience with crop insurance scheme, and how do you think National Health Protection Scheme will be implemented?
See, National Health Protection Scheme, probably you can compare with the Prime Minister's Jeevan Jyoti Bima Yojana, Bima Suraksha Yojana. That's for individuals, not for crop it is coming. This is for individual and the families. The government has announced for 10 crore. Quite exciting. That's what I heard it. I said, I mean, anybody who is working with insurance, we had some inkling on that thing even before that. It's quite exciting news. Implementation will be a challenge because 10 crore families are to be enrolled into that thing. 50 crore people are coming. Big outlay is there. However, we had an experience of running Rashtra Swasthya Bima Yojana, a very smaller level. Some states are having some insurance schemes. Some degree of expertise is there in that thing. And on the base of this expertise, I think it will be an achievable target.
Now, State Bank of India has posted its first quarterly loss in nearly 17 years, or at least 17 years in fact, and an NPA divergence of around 23,000 crore rupees, after which the stock took a hit. Now, Rajneesh Kumar, the bank's chairman, says that he is confident of not reporting an NPA divergence for the current financial year. Kumar also expects that the bank's credit will grow at 10% in FY19. Here's what he said.
Basically, if it is, one is that gross slippages next year, our estimate is 2%. And there are like 78,000 crore of NPAs in NCLT 1 and 2. So by September, this will be out of the bank's books, either through recovery or you write down or whatever you do. But that part will be over. Our estimate is 10%, which I presume is a feasible number for State Bank of India. And so better quality credit at a price which is liking of the State Bank of India. And still I believe that we will be able to grow at around 10%.
Sticking with banks, Bank of Baroda is going to trim its international operations and focus on its domestic business. That's according to its MD and CEO PS Jayakumar. Speaking to Bloomberg Quint's Vishwanath Nair, he said there's a need for the bank to re-evaluate its presence in some of the large markets abroad as it looks to clean up its books back home. Vishwanath started by asking him about the recent revelations made in South Africa, where the Gupta family has been accused of using their Bank of Baroda accounts to transfer illicit money.
Most of the issues that we're discussing in South Africa and in other markets where we've had similar issues are primarily historical issues. Okay. Some of the issues in South Africa date to 2010, 2011, 2012. And then we are using the current methods of KYC and AML and saying, hey, did those comply? You know, they're historical issues, and after that, from 2015 onwards, we're significantly strengthening our compliance environment, KYC, AML, but also in terms of the organizational structure, making the compliance organization report to the central office. And the entire bank organization itself, where the executive director in charge of risk management does not have business responsibilities. We've done a fair amount of work with respect to automation of work. And we're also kind of saying that if we should be more focused in the larger markets than be present in markets where our shares are limited or presence is not necessarily required from a customer perspective as well. And you're working through those franchises.
So then that business percentage, whatever part was coming in from your international business, that is expected to go down.
I wouldn't put it that way. What is happening is that the locations where we stay, where we have a larger presence, there will be much more focus with respect to them, and then the opportunities of those businesses to grow will be there. But at the end of the day, the real issue is how important are you to those markets, how important are you to the customers, how well you can serve them, how large is the opportunity pool itself. Remember, we work in India, which is one of the largest markets in terms of number of people. And then the question of capital and what is a judicious way to apply the capital. Those are all the points that needs to be considered while looking at the approach. So it's a part of a process where we are reevaluating our presence in many of the markets, and some of them we need to leave. But some of these things you don't announce till such time as you've got the consent of the host country regulators with respect to what's happening. And then there are other markets where we need to put more energy and focus on. If you take a South Korea, look at Japan, those are markets where we could potentially increase the size of relationship we have.
Turning to the pharma space, the US FDA is paying a visit to Sun Pharma's Halol plant. If cleared, it'll pave the way for the drug maker to launch some key products in the world's largest market. Yatin Mota gets us all the details in this report.
US FDA, America's drug regulator has, being invited by Sun Pharmaceuticals to re-inspect their Halol unit. Remember, last year, the company had received a warning letter as far as the Halol plant was concerned, post which the approvals for major filings done from this plant, saw some big delays. Of course, the kind of pipeline Halol has, since it's one of the largest, facility that Sun Pharma has, and more importantly, the kind of drug filings that it has from the Halol unit is, the largest their Taro business. So clearly, as far as the US business is concerned, key of their drugs and approvals are pending. And if re-inspection takes place successfully for this Halol plant, which the company said, they have undertaken all the remedial measures, could open up a whole new marketplace for the company's new drug launches. So clearly, all eyes as far as Sun Pharmaceuticals' Halol unit is concerned, and so sources do indicate that probably in the next 7 to 8 working days, the inspection should get completed, post which there could be more clarity as to what exactly happened, as far as the entire inspection success is concerned.
Well, over to the aviation space, and Indigo has got a big problem at hand. The engines on some of its new aircraft have turned out to be faulty, forcing it to ground 3. These are the Airbus A320neos. The country's largest commercial airline put out a statement over the weekend claiming that there were 3 instances when pilots decided to abort takeoffs after the engines shut down. Anurag Kotaki of Bloomberg News, who has been following the story very closely, gets us the details in this report.
Pratt & Whitney engines have been in trouble since the day they were launched over the past 18 months or so, there have been several issues. But on Friday, the European Safety Union actually announced a fresh kind of an issue, which started all of this. And Indigo yesterday said that it had to replace its engines 69 times in 18 months because those engines were not up to the mark. So now what we know is that deliveries for all new aircraft has been suspended, which are fitted with the Pratt & Whitney engines, and we don't really know when this issue can be fixed. In the meantime, what Indigo will have to do is to lease older planes, the A320 CEO model, which is not as cost effective as the new models were. So we'll have to see how Airbus and Pratt & Whitney address this situation, but Indigo definitely has some trouble in its hand.
Well, Foodpanda India will spend 400 crore rupees to hire 25,000 riders and improve its online food delivery network. The fresh investment comes after Swiggy raised $100 million from Naspers and Chinese e-commerce service platform Meituan Dianping and Alibaba Group's Ant Financial pumped in as much as $200 million into Zomato. A part of the capital will be infused by ANI Technologies, which is Ola's parent company. Quick service restaurant owners are a happy lot. Some of the country's largest food chains like McDonald's and Domino's have posted double-digit growth in sales last quarter. Agam Vakil has this report as to why people are rushing to buy pizzas and burgers.
So before I get into the reasons behind the surge that we've seen in the QSR space in the past quarter, let me just take you through the numbers. So in terms of sales growth, as you can see, for something like Dunkin' Donuts, M&M, or McDonald's, KFC, or for that matter, Pizza Hut, what we've seen is a good amount of growth coming in across all segments, and this is just the Indian numbers. So this is all the shops which are open in India. If you consider same-store sales growth as well, at least for something like Westlife Development, or for that matter, Jubilant FoodWorks, we've seen about 17 or 8%, as much as 21% for something like a Westlife Development. So the same-store sales growth is also doing well. The question then is that what are the reasons behind such a great quarter? Well, for one, of course, is that we were working with demonetization. That's a low base. But there has also been an uptick in the discretionary demand, and that's the reason why we are looking at the strength coming in. Now, a lot of these managements have suggested that they're looking at re-imaging a lot of their stores. They've been bringing new products. They've been changing their product lines as well as menus, and that's also something that is spurring growth for a lot of these companies. Can we expect this growth to sustain? Well, we're looking at mixed cues, at least as far as managements are concerned, because while the management of Westlife Development says that yes, this can be sustained, there is a genuine uptick in demand. Jubilant FoodWorks is a little more cautious when it comes to its outlook for the discretionary demand, saying that a lot of this growth was spurred only because of changes in menu, perhaps not necessarily because demand variables have changed. That said, a lot of analysts on the street are very upbeat, and they have upgraded and increased the price targets both for Westlife Development as well as Jubilant FoodWorks. Well, and it remains to be seen whether or not we actually continue to see such strong numbers as we move into the next couple of quarters as well.
Well, so far, the disbursement of crop insurance premium from states has been lukewarm. But Managing Director of Agriculture Insurance Company of India, T. Alamelu, has said that his company is in talks with the states to provide timely subsidies and to accelerate the provision of subsidies to help farmers in distress. Alamelu also said that the delay in processing subsidies from states is a major reason for the delay in claims settlement for farmers. The Supreme Court today restrained the Jammu and Kashmir police from taking any coercive steps against the army officers involved in the Shopian firing. Last month, that's what happened last month. Lieutenant Colonel Karamveer Singh had asked the Supreme Court to cancel the FIR that was filed against his son Major Aditya Kumar, who is accused of killing 3 civilians in Shopian. The Supreme Court has stayed the order and asked the state government to file its response to the plea within 2 weeks. Here's a counsel of Lieutenant Colonel Karamveer Singh on why they have called the FIR bad in law. Listen in.
It was bad in law because, the people who had actually indulged in anti-national and terrorist activities, the actions that that mob had taken, that mob had become the stone pelters, and it went to the extent of the JCO that he had gotten down to reason with the crowd. That JCO was sought to be lynched, his weapon was snatched. There was injuries, serious injuries to soldiers. And when retaliatory action is taken by the Indian Army soldiers and officers to protect the property, life and limb of the officers, then an FIR is registered, not leaving aside those people who are actually perpetrators of these heinous offences.
Congress President Rahul Gandhi attacked RSS Chief Mohan Bhagwat for his comments on the Indian Army. Gandhi wrote on Twitter, and I quote, "The RSS Chief's speech is an insult to every Indian because it disrespects those who have died for our nation. It is an insult to our flag because it insults every soldier who ever saluted it. Shame on you, Mr. Bhagwat, for disrespecting our martyrs and our army." So Mohan Bhagwat had in a speech earlier said that the Sangh can prepare military personnel within 3 days, which the army would do in 6 to 7 months. The Rajasthan government has announced a one-time loan waiver of up to 50,000 rupees for small and marginal farmers. The move would cost 8,000 crore rupees to the exchequer. Chief Minister Vasundhara Raje also announced the setting up of a Farmer Loan Relief Commission. Farmers can approach the commission and present their case for getting relief on a merit system. The Congress has criticized the move, calling it a betrayal to farmers. Ahead of the budget speech, Congress and BJP MLAs sparred in the assembly, demanding a withdrawal of the black law, what they call a black law, and they said that it seeks to enhance the levels of immunity to public servants and prevents media from publicly naming them for a probe. India and Oman have signed 8 agreements, including cooperation in defense, health and tourism. The two countries also signed an agreement on mutual visa exemption for holders of diplomatic, special service and official passports. Prime Minister Narendra Modi today met with the industry leaders of the Gulf and West Asia region at the India-Oman business meeting. PM Modi pitched India as an attractive destination for business. External Affairs Ministry spokesperson Ravish Kumar tweeted. Now, US Vice President Mike Pence has signaled a shift in the country's North Korea policy. Pence said that the US is ready to engage in talks about North Korea's nuclear program. However, he said that the US will continue to maintain pressure on North Korea. This major softening of stance, or seemingly softening of stance, came a day after North Korea's President Kim Jong-un's sister Kim Yo-jong invited South Korea's President Moon Jae-in for a summit in Pyongyang. So why the US softened its stance against the North Korea? Peter Pei of Bloomberg News tells us the reasons.
Maybe that the U.S. had no choice. They were put into a pretty interesting corner over the weekend when North Korea's Kim Jong-un's sister invited South Korea's President Moon Jae-in for a summit in Pyongyang. That kind of created this odd challenge, basically, or put in a wedge between the South Korea and U.S. alliance. And, there was the U.S. could have responded by a hard line, all right, we're not going to take this kind of summit if there's no talk of dismantling the nuclear weapons program in North Korea. They could have done that. However, that would have really broke this alliance. So in some ways, this was probably the easiest way out of this very particular pickle or diplomatic pickle.
Well, Bitcoin clocked 6-day highs of $9,000 over the weekend, but has since stabilized near the $8,700 mark. The leading cryptocurrency surged almost 10% to $8,700 today. Rival cryptocurrencies like Ethereum jumped 8.5% to $870, while Ripple surged by 13%. The topsy-turvy swing in Bitcoin prices comes at a time when governments and central banks around the world continue to take a tougher stance on cryptocurrencies. Here's a gist of where things stand at the moment.
Government does not consider cryptocurrencies as legal tender of coin and will take all measures to eliminate the use of these crypto assets in financing illegitimate activities or a part of the payment system.
Well, that's all we have for you in this show, but there's a lot more coming up over the rest of the day. We leave you now with the top earnings of the day. Thanks for watching, and do stay tuned to Bloomberg Quint Live.